सहनाववतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। जन्माद्यस्य यतोऽन्वयादितरतः चार्थेष्वभिज्ञस्वराट् तेने ब्रह्महृदाय आदिकवये मुह्यन्ति यत्सूरयः तेजो वारिमृदां यथा विनिमयः यत्र त्रिसर्गो मृषा धाम्ना स्वेन सदा निरस्तकुहकं सत्यं परं धीमहि सच्चिदानन्दरूपाय तापत्रयविनाशाय श्रीकृष्णाय वयं नुमः। द्वैपायनो विरहकातर आजुहाव तं सर्वभूतहृदयं मुनिमानतोऽस्मि नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत्. Yes. So in the previous class we had seen the story of how Maharaj Parikshit was cursed by Shamika Rishi's son. So what was the incident? So one day when the king had gone for hunting, he lost his way in the forest, very tired, exhausted, hungry and thirsty. He came to the ashram of Shamika Rishi. Shamika Rishi was meditating. He had gone to that Turiya state. He was not at all aware. He was beyond body consciousness. He was not aware of the surrounding. At that time, this king came and asked for water to drink, etc. This Rishi was not aware. So this king, he became very angry because of his tiredness, etc. And one dead snake was there. He just put the dead snake around his neck and he left. So somehow the Rishi's son got the news, and from there, that son who was playing with other boys, he cursed the king, saying that, as directed by me, on the 7th day, this king will die bitten by Takshaka the serpent. Later on, this boy went and told the whole thing to his father. The Shamika Rishi, what was his response? He scolded this boy, saying that what a foolish thing you have done. Without a king, a country cannot survive. Who will take care of the law and order? So thus, this Rishi prayed for forgiveness from the Lord. So up to this we have seen. Now what happens to Parikshit Maharaj? So he comes back to his kingdom, and from there, what was the kind of thoughts which were going in his mind? Mahipatistvatha tatkarma garhyam vichintayanatmakritam sudurmanah aho mayani chamanaryavat kritam niragasi brahmani gudha tejasi. So what was the kind of thoughts which were passing through this king's mind? It is said, His mind was extremely disturbed for the kind of heinous act which he has done. Now this king was thinking, lamenting. He says, what a big mistake I have done. I have insulted a true saint. He was in samadhi. And what a kind of act I have done. Neecham anaryavat kritam. So definitely, now that I have insulted a great saint, soon some terrible calamity is going to overcome me as a result of this heinous act. Dhruvam tato me krita deva helanat duratyayam vyasanam nati dirgat. Very soon some calamity is going to come, but tadastu kamam. Oh God, even if that calamity comes, I welcome it wholeheartedly because I deserve it. Such a kind of mind which I have, a vicious, impure mind, that mind has forced me to do this. So therefore, that mind should be punished. It must go through some or the other kind of suffering. So, oh God, if any kind of punishment comes, I welcome it wholeheartedly. I deserve it. The punishment should be so intense that next time this mind should not dare to do such a heinous act. This was the kind of thoughts was going. Adyaiva rajyam balam ruddha kosham prakopita brahma kulanalo me. O Lord, let that fire of anger of that Brahmana, let it burn my everything. Rajyam, my kingdom. Balam, my army. Ruddha kosham, my overflowing treasury. Let it destroy everything. This was the kind of thought which the king was entertaining. Now here, before going further, a point to be made. What is the point to be made? Whenever our mind is disturbed, let us not take any decision in life. This is the lesson to be learned. What is the lesson? Whenever the mind is disturbed by either kama, krodha, lobha, moha, whatever it may be, when the mind is disturbed, that disturbed mind will advise you to do something. Never do that, because later on you will definitely repent for that act. So whatever story we are seeing, it is only a depiction of whatever is said in Bhagavad Gita. So in 3rd chapter, what does Bhagavan say? In fact, it is the question of Arjuna. Athakena prayuktoyam papam charati purushaha anichannapi varshneya baladiva niyochata. Bhagavan, why is it that even though we know that something is wrong, still we do it? As though compelled by some external force. Why is it that we are compelled to do these wrong things in life? So what is the answer given? Kama eshaha krodha eshaha rajoguna samudbhavaha papmana, what is that? Mahashano mahapapma vidhi enamiha vairinam. Understand, Arjuna, to be your greatest enemy. What is this enemy? Kama eshaha, krodha eshaha. Now, Parikshit, what had happened to him? It was because of krodha. So what happens when kama, krodha, etc. come? Intellect is paralyzed. Vimohayati eshaha jnanam avritya dehinam. So what happens when kama, krodha comes? This kama, krodha covers the intellect. It paralyzes the intellect, jams the intellect. Now the intellect is no more able to function properly. So this person becomes a two-legged animal. This is what happens. And this is exactly what happens here in the case of Parikshit. He is not a person who would ever do it. But in that moment, his intellect was paralyzed. Whatever be may the reason. So he did this heinous act. So what is the message? Whenever we are in these moods, never take decisions in life. Decisions must be taken always when the mind is sattvic, when the mind is full of devotion, when the mind is peaceful. The same mistake was committed by Shamika Rishi's son also, Shringi. He also became very angry and he cursed. Bas, finished. And later on, now he is repenting. So this is the message. This is point number 1. Point number 2. A true devotee should be like Parikshit. What is the quality, what is the virtue we see in Parikshit here? Even though he has committed a mistake, now he is asking for punishment. Bhagavan, please give me some kind of suffering, because I deserve it. Now what is the virtue which we see in Parikshit? He is not justifying his mistake. He is not saying, Bhagavan, what I did was right, because that Rishi, he did not respond to me, therefore I put the snake. I am right only. Now this is our attitude. Now, this point has to be kept in mind by all seekers of knowledge. As long as you are justifying your mistakes, God's grace will not enter into you. If you want God's grace and blessings, the first and the foremost quality is admit your mistake. Confess, surrender, never justify. And if possible, take upon yourself some kind of punishment for yourself. Say, for example, I have done this mistake, let me skip my dinner or breakfast or lunch or whatever. Some kind of tapas you must do. Saying, Bhagavan, I have done this mistake, I deserve to suffer, so let me take upon myself this particular suffering. Bhagavan loves these kinds of moves. These are all little things we must learn, because if these things are not there, you may sit for meditation, but you will never receive the grace of Lord. That heart will not be filled with devotion. You are obstructing the grace by turning yourself away from the light of truth. So never justify. Surrender immediately whenever something wrong is done. And this is exactly what Parikshit does here. So what does he say? Bhagavan, punish me. Whatever be the kind of punishment you give, I deserve it. I wholeheartedly welcome it. This is the attitude. And thus when this Parikshit was thinking this way, suddenly he gets the message. So from his Duta he gets the message that the Rishi's son has cursed him. In 7 days he is going to die bitten by the snake. And what was his response? It is written, Sa sadhu mene. It is said, Parikshit said, Bhagavan, thank you very much. I deserve it. Look at the greatness of this Parikshit. Truly a descendant of Pandavas. And then what he did? Now that only 7 days are left, immediately he handed over the kingdom to his son, Janamejaya. He took on the robe of an ascetic, put on this, what he called, bark of the tree, etc. Became an ascetic, a sannyasi, left everything and sat on the bank of river, taking a vow of fast unto death. For the next 7 days, I will not drink anything, I will not eat anything, fixing my mind upon the Supreme Lord Bhagavan, I will leave this body. This was the, what you call, decision he took. And then what happened? And this news spread like wildfire in all the 3 worlds, that the great King Parikshit has been cursed, and he has taken a vow of fast unto death, and he is seated there on the banks of Ganga. When this news reached everywhere, all those great Rishimunis who had great regard and respect for this king, because he was a very virtuous king, a great devotee of the Lord. Parikshit is called here as Mahabhagavata, a great devotee. Why is he called a great devotee? Even when he was a child, this Parikshit, what was his sport? He used to worship Sri Krishna. He was not interested in all the other games and playing, etc., toys, etc. His pastime was worshipping Bhagavan Krishna, making the idol, etc. So he was a great devotee. So when this great Rishimunis, etc., heard about this, they said, Tatropa jagmur bhuvanam punanaha mahanubhava munayas sasishyaha prayena tirtha vigamapadeshehe swayam hi tirthani punanti santaha. All these great munis, along with these shishyas, Now here these Rishi Munis are described as those who sanctify even the holy places. The holy places are holy because of these holy men. So those people who sanctify the whole world with their presence, all those Rishi Munis along with their Shishyas, they came to the spot. Now who are all those Rishis? There is a big list given. All had come. Atri, Vasishta, Chavana, Sharadwan, Arishtanemi, Bhrigu, Angira, Parashara, Vishwamitra, Parashurama, Utatya, Indrapramada, Idhmavaha, Medhatiti, Devala, Arstishena, Bharadwaja, Gautama, Pippalada, Maitreya, Aurva, Kavasha, Agastya, Bhagavan Vyasa, Narada, and very many Devarshis, Brahmarshis, Rajarshis. Now just imagine the greatness of this king, Parikshit. All the famous Rishi Munis, they all gathered there. And what did Parikshit do? He prostrated unto all of them. With folded hands he prostrated, did namaskar at their feet, and then he spoke these words. What did he say? Aho vayam dhanyatama nripanam mahattamanugrahaniya shilaha rajñam kulam brahmana pada shaucha durat visrishtam bhatagarhya karma. O saints and sages, O Mahatmas, I am so fortunate that such a Necha Kshatriya who has done such a heinous act, such a Necha person, he has become an object of blessing of all the great people like you. So I once again prostrate unto you. And then he says, O Mahatmas, this curse has come as a blessing in disguise. Dvija Shapa Rupaha, this Shapa, I am not considering it as a Shapa. I am considering it as Bhagavan's special grace and blessing. Why is it so? Because Nirveda Moolaha Dvijashapa Rupaha Yatra Prasakto Bhayamashudatte. Because when a person is caught with the fear of death, he becomes immediately dispassionate. Dispassion automatically comes to this person. Now I am a person who is Vyasakta Chittasya Griheshu Abhikshnam. I am so attached to my kingdom, my army, my family and this and that. Now this fear of death in me has made me intensely dispassionate. Dispassion has come to me unasked, effortlessly. Therefore, O Mahatmas, I don't consider this curse as a curse. I consider this curse as a special blessing of Bhagavan. It is a blessing in disguise. And it's a fact. The moment a person comes to know that he is going to die, all his attachments will be cut off. That fear of death is such. So must be knowing the story of that person who came to Vinoba Bhave. So he came to Vinoba Bhave and asked, Sir, how is it that you are able to remember God all the time? We are not able to do. Mind keeps wandering, etc. So what did Vinoba Bhave say? He did not answer this question. He just stared at his face and said, looking at your face, the lines on your forehead, I can say, in 7 days you are going to die. This person was shocked. He forgot his question. He just returned back. And for the 7 days, all the time he was there doing japa and japa and japa. After 7 days, Vinoba Bhave goes to his house because he was not seen anywhere. So he went to his house and then he asked him. Going to his house, he asked him, what were you doing all the 7 days? He said, nothing other than remembering God. Then Vinoba Bhave said, this is exactly the way in which I also remember God. I don't remember God, I remember death. And that reminds me of God. So you become very sensitive when you meditate on death. So meditation on death is not inauspicious, it is considered auspicious. Now, Parikshit Maharaj is saying, curse is not a curse, but it is nothing but blessing. Now here again, this is the quality of a true devotee. What is it? Even the tragedies, he doesn't see it as a tragedy, he sees it as Bhagwan's blessing. This we must learn. A true devotee has to think this way. Otherwise, he is not a true devotee. Such a person is called a Kuta Yogi in Bhagavata. Kuta Yogi means a perverse devotee. A true devotee is the one who welcomes even curses. He welcomes even the tragedies as blessings from the Lord. Now what is his prayer? So now Parikshit Maharaj is praying. Oh Mahatmas, please bless me. What is the blessing you need? Punascha bhuyat bhagavatyanante ratif prasangascha tadashrayeshu mahatsu yam upayami srishtam maitryastu sarvatra namo dvijebhyah. Oh Mahatmas, please bless me. Now that I am going to die in 7 days, I don't know in which embodiment I am going to be born in the future. So whatever be the embodiment, whatever be the species, whichever be the womb in which I am going to be born, please bless me that these 3 things are always with me. What are the 3 things? Bhagavati anante ratihi. Let there be devotion in my heart for the Lord. May not this devotion go away. And then, prasangascha tadashrayeshu mahatsu. Let me always get satsanga from the devotees, Mahatmas. Let me always get the association with the wise and the noble. This is the second thing. And the third thing, maitryastu sarvatra. Let me never ever harm or hurt anyone. Let me have a friendly disposition with everyone. Let me live a harmonious life with everyone. These are the 3 things he asks. So I don't bother whether I am going to be born in a human body or an animal body or an insect body. I don't care. But these 3 things, please bless me that I have it. And then saying so what did he do? So that king made an asana for himself to sit. It is said that he made a kusha grass, asana made of kusha grass. The kusha grass tip pointing towards the east and himself facing towards the north at the southern bank of Ganga. He just sat there, taking a vow of fast unto death. When all the Rishi Munis, they saw this, everyone congratulated Parikshit. They said, oh Parikshit, what you have done is excellent. And this is befitting to you because your ancestors, Pandavas, they have left everything for the sake of God. So what you have done is nothing of great wonder. You are following the same footsteps of your ancestors. So they all congratulated him. All the devatas from the heavens, they showered flowers unto him. And these Rishi Munis, they started discussing among themselves. They said, let us do one thing. Now that this great devotee is going to drop his body in 7 days, let us not go from here. All these 7 days we will stay back till Parikshit leaves his body and attain the higher worlds, the purer, nobler worlds. Till that we are all going to stay back. When Parikshit heard this, he was very much pleased that he will get the satsang of all these Mahatmas. And then this Parikshit said, oh Mahatmas, I am so thankful to all of you. Now that you are all going to be there with me. In fact, you have come here not for your sake, but only to bless me. I am so fortunate. In fact, you go everywhere to bless people. You yourself, you don't want anything. You go everywhere only to bless people. Now that you are there with me for the 7 days, now let me ask you one question. And what is the question? What is the one thing to be done by a person who is going to die? This is the question. Sarvatmana mriyamaneischa krityam. What is it? A person who knows that he is going to die, a dying man, what is he supposed to do? This question he puts forth, and the moment he puts this question, a strange thing happened there. What happened? The hero of Bhagavatam enters. And who is the hero of Bhagavatam? Shuka Brahmarshi enters. So this is how in our Puranas the heroes are introduced. Whatever we see in the modern movies, they are all copied from these scriptures. In modern movie, when do the hero come? So some trouble is there. Gundas are creating lot of problem. People are thrashed left and right. And at that time, when everything, the situation is so helpless, people are miserable. At that time, what do you see? The hero enters. And the first itself, face should not be shown. Leg should be shown. It starts from lotus feet of the... Isn't it? That is how the heroes are introduced. Now these are all copied from the scriptures like this. If suppose the hero just like that comes, it is not the right way. On the appropriate occasion it comes. Now whatever is said in Bhagavatam, it is not some exaggeration. It happens that way because here is a great devotee who is going to die. So naturally that devotee needs guidance. So Bhagavan's special grace and blessing has to descend on this devotee. And so coincidentally this happens. What happens? Shuka Brahmarshi enters. Tatra bhavad Bhagavan Vyasaputraha yadrichaya gamatamano napekshah alakshyalingo nijalabhatushtaha vritascha baleravadhutaveshah. So here comes Shuka Brahmarshi. So here is a description of Shuka Brahmarshi. The whole thing is given. Entire description of how he looked. Because he is the hero. Now see how the hero is introduced to the audience. So what was the kind of person he was? He is a perfect Parivrajaka. Parivrajaka means it is said that in a place he doesn't stay. As much time is needed to milk a cow, only that much time he stays in a place. That was the kind of person he was. Total detachment. He is an embodiment of dispassion. To such an extent. So in the beginning we chant, Yam Pravrajantam Anupetam. Even Vyasarishi was stunned looking at the dispassion and knowledge of his son. So that was the kind of person Shuka Brahmarshi is. It is said that he did not come out of mother's womb for 12 years. He remained in the womb of the mother. Then Bhagavan Sri Krishna said, Arey, I have some work for you, please come out. There are a lot of work pending. Then it is said that Shuka Brahmarshi in the womb of the mother said, no, Bhagavan, I am scared of your Maya, so I will not come out. So then Bhagavan Krishna had to promise him, I promise you that my Maya will not touch you. Please come out. And it is said, then he came out. That was the kind of, knowledge and dispassion of this boy. Embodiment of everything. And it is said that even before his Yajnopavita was over, he just left everything and went. Vyasarishi was going behind him. My dear son, please don't leave us. And it is said that this, Shuka Brahmarshi did not respond. The trees responded. That is the meaning of the verse which we chanted. In the beginning, invocation verse. Yam pravrajantam anupetam apeta krityam dvaipayano virahakatara ajuhava. Dvaipayana means Vyasarashi. Virahakatara. Seeing that his child is leaving him, because Vyasarashi is the father, seeing that his son is leaving everything and going, Virahakatara aju. He called up, Putra, Putra, my son, don't leave. And then what happened? The trees, Tanmayataya Taravaha Abhineduhu, the trees responded. What did the trees say? This son of yours is no more your son, he is the self of all beings. The trees responded, Tam sarvabhuta hridayam munim anatosmi. We prostrate unto that Muni who is sarvabhuta hridayam, who resides in the heart of each one of us as the very self. So this is the greatness of Shukabrahma Rishi. So that is the person. Now here's a description of how he looked like. Tam dvayashtavarsham sukumara pada karor bahvam sakapola gatram. What was his age? Dvayashtavarsham, 16 years. And his body was such that each and every limb was so proportionate and attractive. His feet, his hands, his shoulders, his cheeks, his eyes, nose, ears, everything was proportionate and attractive. His neck was like a conch with auspicious marks. Nigudha prathu tunga vakshasam avartanabhim valgudaram cha. The collarbones were well covered with flesh. Chest high and broad. Deep navel. And the auspicious signs, that lines, 3 lines on the abdomen. Now these are all considered to be auspicious marks of a Mahatma. Digambaram, what was his dress? Ambaram means dress. What was the dress he was wearing? Digambaram. Dik means directions. Means what? Naked. Digambaram. Vakra vikirna kesham. Hairs curly and scattered. Pralambabahum, long arms. Swamarottamabham, his beauty, beauty was equivalent to Bhagavan Narayana himself. That was the kind of personality he had. Now he was coming. And the moment Shukabrahma Rishi came, Pratyuthitaste munaya swasanebhya. All the Rishi Munis who had gathered there, everybody stood up. Because tal lakshanajna, all these Rishi Munis, they knew what are the auspicious signs of a Mahatma. These auspicious signs were there in this person. Though Shukabrahma Rishi had hidden his spiritual glory, but these Rishi Munis, they knew. So all of them got up and then prostrated to him. He was given an asana. And now here it is said, he was surrounded by these Brahma Rishis, Deva Rishis, Raja Rishis. Sa samvritas tatra mahan mahiyasam Brahmarshi, Rajarshi, Devarshi Sanghehi Vyarochatalam Bhagavan Yadenduhu Graharsha Tara Nikareif Parita. So he was surrounded by all these Rishis. And he looked as though moon surrounded by stars in the night. So in the night, what is prominently seen? The moon. All the stars are only little. So in presence of all these Rishi Munis, this Shukabrahma Rishi was shining like moon. So now this Shukabrahma Rishi, whenever he goes, these little children also follow him. Because according to them, he is a mad fellow. So whenever there is some mad fellow going, there is a tendency, all the children also start following. So some children, some women, etc. were following. So when he was coming, all of them were surrounding him. But when he was seated there and amidst Rishi Munis, all of them left. Because they did not know the glory of this person. So then he was given a high asana. Shukabrahma Rishi sat there. And what was his, state? It is said, Prashantamasina Makuntha Medhasam. He sat there, Prashantam, very peaceful. And what kind of, intellect he had? Akuntha Medhasam. Akuntha Medhasam means everything was so clear to him. Medhasam, Medha means intellect. Akuntha means unobstructed. A person with unobstructed intellect. Everything was so clear to him. In the scriptural language, Kara Amalakavat. Like a fruit which is placed on one's own palm. Things were very clear. He was experiencing only Brahman. Earlier it is said, Nijalabhatushtaha, one who is reveling in the self, totally contented in the self, and therefore an embodiment of dispassion, an embodiment of knowledge. This was Shuka Brahmarshi. So once Shuka Brahmarshi sat there, Parikshit, he came, placed his head at his feet, and with prostration, with folded hands, he spoke these words. What did he say? Aho adya vayam brahman satsevya kshatra bandhavah krupayatithi rupena bhavadbhistirthaka kritaah yesham samsmaranat pumsam sadya shuddhyanti vaigrihaah kim punardarshana sparsha pada shauchasanadhibihi. So again he prostrated with folded hands, with all humility. He said, I am so fortunate. A person like me has become what you call an object of honor, an object of blessing of all these Mahatmas. Yesham samsmaranat sadyah shuddhyanti vaigrihaah. All these Mahatmas, even remembering these Mahatmas, Sant Mahatmas, saints and sages, even by remembering them, the devotees purify their homes. Then what to talk of darshana, sparsha, pada, shauchasanadibhi? I am so blessed that I am able to see you. I am able to render physical service to you. Sanidhyate mahayogin patakani mahantyapi sadyo nashyanti vai pumsam vishnoriva suretaraha. O Mahatmas, even your presence is such that even the greatest sins get destroyed. Just like in the presence of Mahavishnu, all the asuras are destroyed. In the same way, in the presence of these Mahatmas, all pataka, whatever the sins you have committed, everything is destroyed. And then Parikshit says, O Shuka Brahmarshi, your what you call coincidental coming here, I don't consider it an accident, I consider it as Bhagavan's grace and blessing. Because now Bhagavan knows that I am going to die. So Bhagavan himself has sent you. The one who keeps on wandering everywhere, who doesn't stay at one place. For such a person to come here at exactly at this time, I don't see it as an accident, I see it as your special grace. Now this again is a lesson to be learned by all of us. Never take anything as an accident. There is nothing called accident. If some wonderful things are happening, understand it is due to the grace and blessings of the Lord. Now, O Rishi, now that you stay only for some time, so I don't want to waste this time. So quickly I will ask the question which I am supposed to ask. What is it? Atah pritchami samsiddhim yoginam paramam gurum purushasyeha yat karyam mriyamanasya sarvatha yat shrotavyamato japyam yat kartavyam nrabhiv prabho smartavyam bhajaniyam va bruhi yad va viparyayam. Yoginam paramam gurum. O yogi of the yogis, who is the teacher of all yogis, I ask this question to you. What is the question? What is it that a person should do who is going to die? What is it that he should do? Yet shrotavyam, what is it that he should listen? Yet japyam, what is it that he should do? Japa, repeat. Yet kartavyam, what is it that he should do? Smartavyam, what is it that he should remember? Bhajaniyam, what is it that he should worship? Yadva viparyayam, what is it that he should not do? Please tell me, O Rishi, that little time of yours, please guide me in the right direction. Now that I am going to die, please guide me. And to this question, now Shuka Brahmarshi is answering. So with this, the first canto gets over. Till now, First canto alone is over, out of 12 cantos in Bhagavatam. Now we enter into the second canto. So entry into the second canto is with the answer given by Shuka Brahma Rishi. So what is the answer he gives? Variyaneshate prashnah krito lokahitam nripa Atmavit sammatav pumsam srotavyadishu yaf paraha. Now Shuka Brahma Rishi is answering. O king, this question which you have asked is a wonderful question because it is going to benefit the whole world. So therefore, this question is excellent. Now I will start answering this question. Shrotavyadini Rajendra nrinam santi sahasrashah apashyatam atmatattvam griheshu grihamedhinam. Your question was, what is it that we should hear? What is it that we should remember, repeat, etc. In this world, there are thousands and thousands of things which an ignorant person will consider it important. Who is an ignorant person? Griheshu grihamedhinam. Totally tied up with his home and family affairs and this and that. Such a person, apashyatam atmatattvam, not knowing this great truth, he will have thousands of things to bother about in this world. And therefore, what kind of life such a person will live? Nidraya hriyate naktam vyavayena cha vayayah divacharthe haya rajan kutumba bharanena va. Such an ignorant person, this is how he spends his time. In the night, there are only two things, sleep and sex. In the morning, the whole day, he works hard in order to earn wealth, in order to take care of his family. Thus, the morning time is also gone, daytime is gone, night time is gone. This is how the ignorant people waste their life. Bhagavan, why do you say it's a waste of time? Because Deha apatya kalatra adishu atmasaineshu asatsvapi tesham pramattah nidhanam pashyannapi na pashyati. Everything in this world is perishable. Nidhanam. Nidhanam means something which is perishable. What are the things which are perishable? Deha, body. Apatya, children. Kalatra, wife. Adishu, etc. House, property, this, that, everything. Everything, here Bhagavan uses the term Atma Sainyeshu. It is Atma Sainyam. Sainyam means army. This is one's own army. And what is the kind of this army? Asat Swapi. It is Asat. Asat means not real. Asat means which is perishable. Tesham pramattah. So attached is this man to all these things. Nidhanam pashyan api na pashyati. Every day things are dying. Beings are dying. His near and dear ones are dying. In front of his eyes people are dying and still he is holding on to them. Even though he sees, he doesn't see. Means what? Even though he sees, he never learns any lesson. It is the greatest wonder in life. He is holding on to that thing which is definitely going to give him pain because it's a perishable thing. Someday or the other it will go away from him. But in spite of that he is holding on to it. Very many times in his own life, near and dear ones die, but he is not ready to learn any lesson. Whenever you hold on to a perishable thing, it is definitely going to give you suffering. So what are we supposed to do? Instead of holding on to the perishable, we are supposed to hold on to the imperishable. Now, is there in this world something which is imperishable? In this world there is nothing, but there is one thing which is imperishable. What is it? Tasmad bharata sarvatma Bhagavan Ishvaro Harihi Shrotavyah Kirtitavyah Smartavyaschechata Bhayam. There is only one thing which is imperishable, that is Sarvatma, the self of all beings, Bhagavan Ishvaraha Harihi. There is only one. Who is he? Bhagavan, the Supreme Lord. Ishvaraha, the ruler of all. Harihi, the one who is the remover of all sorrows. Hari means the one who takes away. One who takes away all our sorrows. Harihi. And who is he? Sarvatma, he is the self of all beings. He is the one who is available for all at all the times. Never can you say that Bhagavan is not available, therefore I could not hold on to Bhagavan. No, he is always available, but the tragedy is nobody has time for him. This is the tragedy. He is an infinite abode of peace, bliss, happiness, etc. But unfortunately, nobody has time for him. People have time only for the perishable things. And this is the cause why everybody is suffering in this world. So therefore, what should be done? Tasmat, hey Bharata, Shrotavyaha, listen. Always listen to the excellences of the Lord. Kirtitavyaha, glorify him. Smartavyaha, remember him. Chet ichhata abhayam. If you want the abode of fearlessness, if you want the abode of permanence, this is the only way. Right? The question has been answered. This was the question. What is it that one should do all the time, especially a person who is going to die? The answer is very clear. There is no choice. O king, you must hold on to that which is imperishable. If you hold on to perishable, only suffering will be the result. If you want peace of mind, there is only one way: hold on to God. Now the next question is, anticipating this question in the mind of king, Parikshit said, O king, don't worry that only you have 7 days only left. Don't worry about that. He says, Kim pramattasya bahubihi parokshayr hayanairiha varam muhurtam viditam ghateta shreyase yatah. What is the use of living long years in ignorance? Far, far better is few moments spent in the contemplation of the Supreme. This is far better. What is the point living so many years in ignorance? It's of no use. Far better is few moments lived in the contemplation of the Divine. But oh Rishi, I have only 7 days. Arey, what is 7 days? I will tell you one story. Khatvango nama rajarshihi natveyattamihayushah muhurtat sarvamutsrajya gatavana bhayam harim. There was a rishi called Khatvanga. So what happens to this? He was a Rajarshi. So one day what happened? Devatas called him for help. He sought his help because Devatas were fighting a war with Asuras. So they needed help. So they called this Khatvanga. Khatvanga helped these Devatas and ultimately Devatas defeated Asuras. So then these Devatas, they asked, O Khatvanga Rishi, because of you we have won the war. So please ask a boon, we will give you. So Khatvanga said, now how long am I supposed to live in this earth? So they looked at his horoscope and they said, now there is only one muhurtam left. One muhurtam is roughly 48 minutes. Say 1 hour. O king, there is only 1 hour left for you and after that you are going to die. And the moment this king heard this, what did he do? Muhurtat sarvamutrajya. He gave up everything. Gatavan abhayam harim. He held on to Bhagavan and thus he was liberated. So the point is, O king, you have 7 days. Khatvanga did it in 1 hour. So you have enough of time. So therefore you don't have to worry at all. You can definitely reach that state. And true to the words of Shuka Brahma Rishi, Parikshit truly reaches that state. That's a different thing. It is said that before this Takshaka could come and bite, Parikshit had already gone into Samadhi. He had left body consciousness. That was the state. So, O king, don't worry. 7 days are there. 7 days. So now Shuka Brahma Rishi chooses Srimad Bhagavatam. Because now 7 days are there. Let me fill this king's heart full of devotion. Let me arrest his mind unto the Lord. with this determination, Shuka Brahma Rishi, who never used to stay in one place, now because that situation demanded, now this Rishi stays there for 7 days, and with the discourse of Bhagavatam, what he called, he rivets the mind of this king unto the Lord. That is the glory of this teacher, Shuka Brahma Rishi. So therefore, nothing is there to worry. 7 days are there. Let us make use of these 7 days wonderfully well. And now comes the teaching. What should you do in order to fix your mind unto the Lord? Step by step instructions are given. Let us see some few ones. So what should a person do who is aware that his time has come? He is going to die. What should he do? Gruhat pravrajito dhiraha punya tirtha jalaplutaha. Let him leave his home. Chindyat asanga shastrena spraham dehenu chaye yechatam. Chindyat asanga shastrena. With the shastra called asanga, with the sword called detachment, let him cut off all his relationship. Let him be dispassionate and then leave the home and go towards some Tirtha Kshetra, take a bath there, be fresh, and then sit for meditation. So what is he supposed to do at the seat of meditation? Shuchau vivikta asinaha vidhivat kalpitasane. So these instructions are there given in Bhagavad Gita. Shuchau deshe pratisthapya sthiramasanam asanam, etc. So let him choose a very clean spot, spiritually clean and physically clean. Spiritually clean means that which reminds you of Lord. That is called spiritually clean. And physically clean. Let him go and sit in such a place. How? Vivikte. Vivikta means in a solitary place, not with other people. All alone, in a solitary place, in a clean place, let him sit. Let him establish his asana. Let him sit comfortably and let him do these things. What are the things to be done? Abhyasen manasa shuddham trivid brahmaksharam param mano yache jitashvasaha brahma bijam avismaran. Let him sit comfortably and first let him control the breathing, jitashvasaha. So make the breathing slow and steady. So what happens when the breathing is slow and steady? The mind also becomes calm. This is the first step. Through pranayama, through slow and steady breath, make the mind relatively peaceful. And then once the mind has become relatively peaceful, what he should do? Abhyaset manasa. Let him practice this. What should he practice? Trivrit brahmaksharam param. Let him chant this mantra. This akshara brahma, brahmaksharam, which is the brahmaksharam omkara. Trivrit, having 3 matras. A, U, M. Let him chant this mantra continuously. How should he chant? Brahma bijam avismaran. Here avismaran means continuously paying attention to the chanting, not allowing the mind to wander here and there. Mind has become relatively quiet through pranayama. With that relative quiet mind, let him do the chanting. Now here it is omkara. It can be your Ishta Devata mantra also. It can be anything. But when you chant, what is the important thing? Pay attention to it. Keep listening to it. Keep listening to it. This is what you have to do. Then what happens? Niyached vishayebhyoho niyached vishayebhyah akshan manasa buddhi saratihi. Step by step, let him withdraw from the outer world. Sense organs are attached to the sense objects. So let him withdraw the senses from the sense objects. Let the senses be withdrawn with the mind, and let the mind be withdrawn with the intellect, step by step. Now here we are reminded of the famous mantra from Kathopanishad. What is the Kathopanishad mantra? Atmanam rathinam vidhi. Then Shariram rathamevato. Buddhim tu sarathim viddhi. Mana pragrahamevacha. Indriyani hayanahuhu vishayansteshu gocharan. So the whole, what you call, our body, mind, intellect is compared with a chariot. Ratha. So what is the road? Road is the sense objects. Horses, they are the sense organs. The reins, that is compared with mind. The charioteer, it is compared with intellect. So here it is said, Buddhi Sarathi. Let your intellect be the charioteer. And what is this chariot? It is the physical body. And who is the owner of the chariot? Atmanam Rithinam Vidhi. It is nothing but Jivatma. So this comparison is given. So from the outer, slowly, step by step, withdraw. So first, sense organs are withdrawn from the sense objects. These senses are withdrawn with the help of the mind. Now again there is a possibility that the mind also will wander. So how to withdraw the mind? With the help of buddhi, control the mind. Again, a reference to Bhagavad Gita. Yato yato nischarati manas chanchalamasthiram tatas tato niyamyetat atmanyeva vasham nayet. Wherever, whenever the mind is wandering, bring the mind back. With what? With your strong intellect. There is a tussle. Mind wants to go out, intellect wants the mind to come within. So there is a tussle. Who will win? Depends on who is strong. So, all our sadhana, the shravana, manana, etc., what is it doing? It is strengthening the intellect. So you must know, why am I meditating? The purpose of meditation, the benefits of meditation, what is the goal to be reached, what are the obstacles. When you have all this understanding, your intellect becomes very strong. With such a strong, stabilized mind, strong, stabilized intellect, start withdrawing the mind. Manaha karma bhirakshiptam shubharte dharaye dhiya. This mind which is totally agitated because of various karma, because of its extrovertedness, turn the attention of the mind unto the Lord with the help of your intellect. This is what has to be done. But then what to do with the vasanas? Mind has got so many vasanas. Now a unique technique is given here. An ultimate technique. I'll just mention it. Tomorrow we will see it in detail. The technique is, mind has got varieties of inclinations. Vasanas are there. According to the vasanas, your meditation of God should also change. So here it is said, Tatra ekavayavam dhyayet avyuchinnena chetasa. What is the kind of problem you are facing at the mind level? Accordingly should be the meditation done on the Lord. It's a unique technique. You got it what I'm saying? No. Mind can be disturbed because of various reasons. It can be due to kama, it can be due to krodha, lobha, moha, etc. Now these are the causes of disturbance. Every time you cannot use the same technique, you will have to change the technique. So here avayava means limb. Meditate on that particular aspect of God which will remove this vasana. Got it? Suppose, just one example, tomorrow we will elaborate on this. Suppose I have a hatred feeling towards someone. I hate somebody. So what kind of meditation will remove that hatred? You should meditate upon God as the self of all beings. So you are seeing the very same God in him, hatred cannot come. You love God, that God is there in him, so how can you hate him? You got it? That particular aspect has to be meditated upon. Suppose you are jealous about somebody. Again, start applying it. What kind of meditation you should have? All our abilities and talents, it doesn't belong to me, it doesn't belong to us, it belongs to God. So my abilities belong to God, his abilities also belong to God, then how can I be jealous of him? Those abilities don't belong to him, these abilities don't belong to me. It all belongs to God. Now what happens to jealousy? You get it? This is the way meditation has to be done. So what is the vasana because of which you are suffering? Now individual vasanas will be different. I will be suffering from a different vasana, you will be suffering from a different vasana. So same technique cannot be applied. So different aspects of Lord has to be meditated upon. Sometimes God will have to be meditated upon a compassionate one, consoling one. Sometimes God will have to be meditated upon all perfect, supremely strong. Sometimes God will have to be meditated upon Sakshi. So according to the situation, the role for God also should change. Now this is called Avayavam. Avayavam means limb. Loose translation is start meditating upon part by part of God. That is only a superficial meaning. This is a deeper meaning. According to the situation, meditate upon that aspect of God which will remove this vasana in you. Then what happens if you do this? Mano nirvishayam yuktva tatah kinchana nasmaret. This way when you do, whatever vasanas are there, slowly all these vasanas get exhausted. Mind becomes free of vasanas. And then mind is absolutely peaceful. When the mind is absolutely peaceful, again don't entertain anything. The purpose of entertaining a particular aspect of God is over. Once that is over, tataha kinchana nasmare. Don't remember anything. Then let the mind remain at that peace. Now it is said, padam tat paramam vishnuho mano yatra prasidati. That state where you are experiencing infinite peace in yourself, that state is the Paramam Padam of Vishnu. So what is the proof that you are progressing in spirituality? Peace of mind. Paramam Padam of Vishnu is not some Vaikuntha Loka, somewhere you have to go, etc. No. Very clearly it is mentioned, Tat Paramam Padam Vishnoho Mano Yatra Prasidati. That Paramam Padam is right in your heart. You don't have to go anywhere else. The only thing you have to do is make that mind quiet. And how to make the mind quiet? Remember the Lord. That Lord is none other than the self in you. You don't have to entertain any kind of other thoughts. Just make the mind quiet. Once the mind is quiet, what remains is Bhagavan alone. What you experience is Bhagavan alone. So, in brief, Shuka Brahmarishi gives the, entire spiritual sadhana. More of it we will see tomorrow. Om Sarve Bhavantu Sukhinah Sarve Santu Niramayah Sarve Bhadrani Pashyantu Ma Kaschit Dukkha Bhag Bhavet Asato Ma Sadgamaya Tamaso Ma Mrityorma Amritam Gamaya. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.